7 Signs God is preparing you for a blessing you can't see yet. There are moments in life when you can almost feel something shifting in the atmosphere around you. You can't quite explain it, but deep inside, you sense that God is doing more than you can see. And maybe right now, you're walking through a season that feels confusing, stretching, or just different. But let me tell you this straight from my heart to yours. God is not a silent observer in your situation. He's moving, He's aligning, and He's preparing you for something greater than what you're facing today. Sometimes the signs of God's blessing don't look like blessings at first. They look like pressure, like closed doors, like change you didn't ask for. But in James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, it says that the testing of your faith is producing something in you, something strong, something mature, something ready for the next level God has planned. As you listen to this message, I want you to lean in and pay attention to the patterns in your own life. You might realize that the very things that seemed like setbacks were actually signals. You might discover that God has been giving you hints, whispers, and confirmations that a blessing is already on its way. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you may finally understand what God has been trying to show you all along. When everything seems to be falling apart before the breakthrough, there are seasons when it feels like life is unraveling faster than you can hold it together. Plans collapse, relationships shift, opportunities vanish, and you find yourself wondering, God, what is happening to me? But listen closely. What feels like destruction is often divine construction. God sometimes clears the ground before He builds something stronger. When the old structure can't carry the new blessing, He allows it to come down so He can raise up something better. Think about Joseph. Before he ever stepped into the palace, everything in his life fell apart. Betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, imprisoned, yet every low place was actually positioning him for the highest place. You might be in that same kind of transition. In Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says that God works all things together for good, not that all things feel good. The breaking is often the sign that the breakthrough is close. If you feel like everything familiar is slipping out of your hands, don't panic. God might be shifting what no longer aligns with the blessing He's preparing. The pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. The shaking is not the end, it's the beginning of something new. And sometimes the clearest sign that God is about to bless you is when He allows everything that can be shaken to shake, so that only what is meant to remain will remain. A deep, unexplainable rest in your spirit. There comes a moment, often right before God opens a major door, when a supernatural calm settles over your heart. Nothing around you has changed, bills are still due, challenges are still present, questions still linger, but somehow, inside, you feel steady. It's a rest that doesn't match your reality. And that kind of peace is not natural. It's a signal from God that He is already at work behind the scenes. This rest isn't laziness, and it's not denial. It's the Holy Spirit whispering, "I've got this." It's that gentle assurance that gives you the strength to stop overthinking and start trusting. In Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, it says that when we bring everything to God, His peace will guard our hearts and minds. Notice it says His peace, not ours. That means it doesn't come from control, from comfort, or from everything working the way we planned. It comes from Him alone. When this kind of rest shows up, you may find that the things that used to overwhelm you no longer have the same grip. The fear that used to paralyze you suddenly loses its voice. The worries that kept you up at night don't carry the same weight. Why? Because God is steadying your spirit for the blessing He's about to release. He's preparing your heart so that when the breakthrough comes, you'll be ready, not shaken, not frantic, not anxious, but confident in Him. If you're feeling that deep, quiet rest, even in the middle of uncertainty, don't ignore it. That peace is not random. It's a sign that God is closer than you think, and that He's already moving in your favor. God starts removing people from your life. One of the clearest signs that God is preparing to bless you is when certain relationships begin to shift, fade, or fall away. And let's be honest, this is one of the hardest signs to recognize because it doesn't feel like a blessing at first. It feels like loss. It feels like abandonment. It feels like something precious is being taken from you. But in reality, God may be protecting you from people who cannot walk with you into the next season of your life. There are people who were perfect for your past, but dangerous for your future. People who were good for where you were, but not for where you're going. Sometimes God removes people you would have never removed yourself. And if He doesn't remove them physically, He may create distance, emotional, spiritual, or situational, because elevation requires separation. Think about Abraham. Before God could bless him, He said, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household." God had to separate him from environments that limited him. Or consider Gideon. Before the battle, God reduced his army from thousands to 300. Why? Because not everyone can be part of the miracle. In Amos chapter 3, verse 3, it asks, "How can two walk together unless they agree?" God knows that misalignment in relationships can block blessings. So if friendships are fading, if certain voices go silent, if people who once had access no longer do, don't rush to fix it. Don't chase what God is removing. Your destiny is too important to be connected to the wrong people. And many times, the loneliness you feel right now isn't emptiness. It's God creating space. Space for new connections. Space for divine helpers. Space for the right relationships that will strengthen you and not drain you. If God is clearing your circle, it's because He's preparing your table. Let Him make room for the blessing that's coming. Doors begin to close. Suddenly. There are moments when you're walking through life confidently, thinking you know exactly where God is leading you, and then suddenly doors start closing, opportunities dry up, plans fall through, something you were sure would work out just doesn't. And in that moment, it's easy to feel discouraged or confused. But hear me. When God closes a door, it's never to punish you. It's to redirect you towards something better than what you were settling for. Closed doors don't always look spiritual. Sometimes they look like rejection, delay, or disappointment. But often, the very door you wanted so badly would have led you away from God's will. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 7, it says that God opens doors no one can shut, and He shuts doors no one can open. That means, if a door closed, it wasn't your fault, it wasn't bad timing, it was God's protection. Think of Paul in the book of Acts. He tried to preach in certain regions, but the Spirit of God stopped him. Why? Because God had a specific assignment waiting in Macedonia. A closed door led to a divine direction. The same thing happens in your life. God sees what you cannot see: hidden traps, wrong partnerships, wasted seasons. And sometimes He loves you enough to say no, so He can position you for the right yes. If you're facing closed doors right now, don't interpret them as failure. Interpret them as divine editing. God is removing paths that don't lead to your purpose. He's protecting your future. He's guiding your steps even when it doesn't look like guidance. And remember this. When God closes one door, it's because the hallway you're standing in is not your final destination. There is a better door ahead, one that will open effortlessly, one that won't require you to force it, one that carries His favor. So instead of trying to kick down the door that closed, take a breath and trust that God knows exactly what He's doing. The blessing He has for you doesn't need manipulation or striving. When the right door opens, it will feel like peace, clarity, and alignment. And you'll look back and thank God for every no that led to the right yes. You experience increasing spiritual attacks. One of the most overlooked signs that God is getting ready to bless you is when spiritual warfare intensifies. Suddenly, things that were calm become chaotic. Old temptations try to resurface. Unexpected conflicts arise. Your mind feels targeted. Your emotions feel heavier. And your prayer life becomes a battleground. But this isn't happening because God has abandoned you. It's happening because the enemy senses what God is about to release in your life. Before breakthrough often comes battle. In Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12, it says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces. Meaning, what you're fighting right now goes far deeper than what you see. The enemy attacks what he fears. And he doesn't waste energy on people going nowhere. The intensity you're feeling is a sign that you're stepping into territory the enemy doesn't want you to reach. Think about Jesus. Before he stepped into his public ministry, he was attacked in the wilderness. Before Job received double for his trouble, he endured unimaginable warfare. Before David became king, he faced giants, betrayal, and pressure from every side. Satan always fights hardest when God is about to promote someone. During these moments, doubts may scream louder. You may feel unworthy, unprepared, or overwhelmed. But that's exactly when God is strengthening you. In Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, it says, "No weapon formed against you will prosper. Not that the weapon won't form, but that it won't succeed." The attack is a sign of your value. It's confirmation that heaven has ordered something new for your life. So when the pressure increases, don't retreat. Lean into God. Press into prayer. Stay anchored in His Word. The enemy wants you to give up right before you step into your blessing. But if you stand firm, you'll see that this battle wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to reveal how strong God has made you and how close your breakthrough truly is. God starts speaking to you more clearly. Right before God releases a major blessing, His voice often becomes clearer, louder, and more consistent in your life. Not always in audible words, but through subtle confirmations, scriptures that jump out at you, sermons that feel like they were preached specifically for you, conversations that hit your spirit, or a repeated message you can't ignore. It's as if God begins to highlight things in bold, underlined print, because He wants you prepared and positioned for what's coming. This clarity is not coincidence, it's divine alignment. In John chapter 10, verse 27, it says that God's sheep hear His voice, meaning He speaks, and we recognize His direction. During seasons of transition, God often increases His communication because He knows how easy it is to misinterpret what's happening around you. He knows you might be tempted to give up, turn back, or question your path. So He guides you with reminders, nudges, and revelations to steady your steps. Sometimes He speaks through discomfort, telling you a season is ending. Other times He speaks through excitement, stirring a new desire in your heart. You might find that a specific verse keeps returning to your mind, or you suddenly have clarity about something that used to confuse you. That's God preparing your spirit for the blessing He's already orchestrating. Think about young Samuel. Before God elevated him as a prophet, God called his name repeatedly until he learned how to respond. Or consider Peter. Before he stepped into his assignment, Jesus told him exactly what his calling would require. God doesn't bless blindly. He prepares intentionally. So, if you're receiving repeated confirmations, if your spirit feels more sensitive, if you sense God pointing you toward a specific direction or decision, pay attention. He's not trying to overwhelm you. He's trying to prepare you. The blessing that's coming requires clarity, and God is giving you that clarity piece by piece. When God starts speaking more clearly, It's because something significant is moving toward you. And the very fact that he's making his voice unmistakable is a sign that you are closer to your breakthrough than you've ever been. Unexpected help, provision, or favor begins to appear. Another powerful sign that God is getting ready to bless you is when provision begins to show up in ways you didn't expect. Not the full blessing yet, just small streams, small signs, small moments of favor that seem to come out of nowhere. It might be a person who offers support, a door that unexpectedly cracks open, a resource that arrives just when you need it, or an opportunity you didn't even apply for. These are not coincidences. These are previews of what God is preparing. God often sends breadcrumbs of blessing before the full breakthrough, just to remind you that He's still leading you. In Psalm 23 verse 1, it says that the Lord is your shepherd, and you shall not want. That means He provides step by step, moment by moment, season by season. You may not see the whole picture yet, but He's showing you enough to stay encouraged. Think about Elijah during the famine. Before God sent the rain, He sent the ravens. Before the storm clouds gathered, God provided a widow who had just enough oil and flour. Or think about Ruth. Before God blessed her with Boaz and a redeemed future, she found handfuls of grain left on purpose for her in the fields. God always gives hints of His favor before He releases the fullness of His promise. So when unexpected blessings begin to flow, when someone helps you without knowing your situation, when a bill gets paid in an unexpected way, when a connection suddenly appears at the perfect time, recognize that God is revealing His hand. He's showing you that the blessing is already in motion. This kind of unexpected provision is God whispering, "I'm still in control. I haven't forgotten you. I'm already arranging what you've been praying for." When small blessings start popping up in unusual places, rejoice. They are signs that your harvest is closer than you think, and the God who started the work is bringing it to completion. Your desires. Begin to align with God's will. One of the most beautiful signs that God is preparing to bless you is when He starts shifting the desires of your heart. Suddenly, things you used to crave don't attract you anymore. Habits that once felt normal begin to feel heavy. Dreams you held onto tightly no longer fit who you're becoming. And at the same time, new desires begin to rise. Desires for purpose, purity, growth, and obedience. This inner transformation is not random. It's God shaping your heart to carry the blessing that's coming. Blessings from God require maturity. They require readiness. They require a heart that will steward His gifts well. So before God places something into your hands, He works on your desires. In Psalm 37, verse 4, it says that God gives you the desires of your heart, meaning He plants them, He aligns them, and then He fulfills them. He doesn't just give you what you want, He gives you what He wants for you, until what He wants becomes what you want. Think about David. Long before he became king, God shaped his desires in the fields as a shepherd. Think about Paul. Once he encountered Jesus, everything he once valued instantly shifted. When God is preparing you for something big, He starts reshaping your appetite, removing what would sabotage your blessing and stirring a longing for what will sustain it. You may notice that you're drawn to prayer in a deeper way. You might feel convicted more quickly. You may sense a new hunger for the Word, new compassion for people, or a fresh vision for your life. These changes are not emotional, they're spiritual. They are evidence that God is aligning your heart with His plan. And here's the powerful part. When your desires align with God's will, blessings no longer feel out of reach. You stop chasing the wrong things, which frees you to receive the right things. You stop striving for what was never meant for you, and God begins to accelerate what was always meant for you. If your heart is shifting, if you feel God pulling you toward a new level of faith and purpose, take it seriously. That kind of inner transformation is one of the clearest signs that He's preparing you not just to receive the blessing, but to thrive because of it. You sense that a season is ending and a new one is beginning. There are times in life when you can feel a quiet shift happening inside you. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just a steady awareness that something is changing. You may not have the full picture yet, but you can sense that God is closing out one chapter and preparing you for another. This inner stirring is one of the strongest signs that a blessing is on the horizon, because God often speaks through spiritual sensitivity before He moves in visible ways. It's that feeling that you're outgrowing old patterns, old environments, and even old versions of yourself. Things that once felt comfortable now feel restrictive. Tasks that used to satisfy you no longer inspire you. Even your conversations begin to shift. Your goals shift. Your energy shifts. This isn't boredom, it's transition. In Isaiah chapter 43 verse 19, it says that God is doing a new thing, and He asks, do you not perceive it? That word perceive means to sense, to discern, to feel the shift before it fully appears. Look at Noah. Before the rain ever fell, God told him to build an ark, clear evidence that a new season was coming. Look at Elijah. Before God lifted him into heaven, Elisha could feel the transition taking place. God often lets your spirit detect the change long before your circumstances catch up. In these moments, you might notice a holy restlessness, not anxiety, but anticipation. You may find yourself dreaming differently, thinking differently, or praying differently. You may feel God pulling you away from what's familiar and nudging you towards something you can't yet define. That's how He prepares you for blessing. He shifts your spirit before He shifts your surroundings. If you feel like you're in a hallway, done with one season, but not fully in the next, don't panic. That in-between place is sacred. It means God is aligning things, rearranging things, and preparing you for what He's about to release. The sense of transition you feel isn't your imagination. It's a signal. God is moving. God is preparing, and the blessing ahead is closer than you think. Conclusion. If you've listened to these signs and felt something tug at your heart, don't ignore it. God rarely moves without first giving hints, whispers, and gentle nudges. And maybe now you can look at your life with new eyes. The pressures, the shifts, the closed doors, the unexpected peace, all of it might be pointing to one truth. God is preparing to bless you in a way that goes beyond what you've imagined. You might not see the full picture yet, but God is already arranging it. He's already aligning the right people, opening the right opportunities, and shaping your heart so you can carry what He's about to release. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, it says not to grow weary in doing good, because in due season you will reap if you don't give up. And friend, your due season may be closer than you think. So stand firm, keep trusting, keep praying, keep walking in faith, even when the path feels unsure. God has never failed you, and He's